So you can tie in those two thoughts.
I don't want to pose as an expert on Russia because I'm most certainly not. And like most Americans, I have real concerns about the things that go on in the Soviet Union and have gone on for many years in terms of lack of civil liberties, lack of free elections, lack of freedom of the press, and so forth. However, I think that there is no question that Gorbachev is making some significant strides forward in trying to open up the Soviet Union. And I think what Americans should understand is that even within the Soviet Union, not even, that in the Soviet Union, there are tremendous opponents of his, the conservatives, the military people, who do not want to hear from the people, who do not want to open up the process. These are the people who are doing very well with the way things are right now. They are the ruling class in the Soviet Union. They don't want to see new ideas, new diversity of opinion. So I think Gorbachev is walking a very tight line, but I applaud what he's trying to do. In terms of his getting out of the car, well, I think he's learning a lot from Ronald Reagan. He knew the television cameras were going. But I'll tell you this. If we look at what's going on in this world today, and if we understand that between the United States and the Soviet Union and the other powers, we're spending close to $1 trillion a year on weapons of destruction, okay, while hundreds of millions of people are starving to death, I think that people right now are feeling a little bit more optimistic because at least after 7 years, Reagan is now beginning to talk to the Soviet Union. In Burlington, let me give you an example of something. Last spring, we have a group of people in Burlington who are part of a group called Project Harmony, and they are working very, very hard to create relationships between young people in the United States and Vermont and people in the Soviet Union. And last spring, we had some young people, the Leningrad Youth Choir, came to Burlington before a packed house in our Memorial Auditorium. And they got on the stage and they sang with Vermont kids. And the people in that room, probably 1,000, 2,000 people, were deeply moved. I think what people are understanding is that in the era of nuclear weapons, when we can blow up this world a dozen times over, at a time when people are starving to death, at a time when the Soviet economy is in shambles, we have a $200 billion deficit, that the insanity of war has finally got to end. Okay? And I'm proud in Vermont, I should tell you, that several years ago, our people in town meeting spoke up and they said we wanted a nuclear freeze. Dozens and dozens of town meetings, including Burlington, said, let's stop building more and more nuclear weapons. And all over the country, I think people are saying enough is enough. And I think perhaps out of that groundswell, which came in this country, came in the Soviet Union, they're beginning to talk. And I think the people all over the world are feeling good about that.
Good evening to Kent Washington. You're on the air.